Oh, look.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hey, hola, bon dia, Graham Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Not that one, Carl. Where's that? Oh, there it is. Marvellous. Good to be here. You just saw a very quick flash of an image of Elaine Godley, who's my guest at 9 o'clock this morning. Best of health. She's quite amazing. She's got an incredible personal well-being and health story. And she'll be here, I'm sure, to answer your questions about health and well-being. Slightly different angles on things, if I remember rightly. Spoke to Elaine a long time ago. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, and she's back this morning. She's going to be on the telly soon down there in the what is it? Funchos on the thingy thing. The what's that wonderful place down there in the Algarve where they made a TV show, and we had the wonderful Cheryl from there. I can't remember the name of her place, but Cheryl was on the Good Morning Portugal show probably 18 months ago, talking about being on the TV and running a beautiful retreat centre down there. I think Elaine's running some courses and workshops from there too. So we'll talk to her at 9. Until then, a chance to check in on this happy, healthy hump day. How are you doing? Do let me know in the chat. And of course, at 10 o'clock, the Iberian FM phone in. So we can pick up from yesterday if you want to talk about those issues that we discussed yesterday. And Mrs. M did have it to sprawl away from Portugal and the new euthanasia legislation. Decriminalization, it's been called, rather than a legalization. If you want to talk about that or anything, really, give us a buzz on 913-590-303 on the Iberian FM phone in from 10 o'clock this morning. Oh, where you been? PT Country Bear is here. Bon dia alegria, says PT Country Bear. And a nice message. We're back from a great trip with our family visiting from the USA. How lovely. I hope you had a fantastic time. Smash it. Smash it, says T-Duck as well. Good morning. Smash that like button. Thank you very much, T-Duck. Let's get into some of your content as well in just a moment. Thank you very much for the Portuguese saying, for the deep thoughts, and for the Quem Sabia as well. Do like a little bit of Bordalo Pinheiro, don't you, first thing in the morning? So that's who we'll be looking at. And the ceramics that have emerged from that creative mind. Okay, Coach Turner's in as well. We're surrounded by people taking care of our well-being, which is lovely. Coach Turner on body, the physical. I mean, he does lurch into the mental from time to time. I don't mean that in a bad way. Benjamin Stubbs, of course, who was with us on Monday and recommending his free gift to us. Breathe in on the count of 3. Breathe out on the count of 5. Do it now. Why not? It's free. And I would say, I'm not sure I've ever done a little breathing exercise that hasn't been in some way beneficial. I've never resented it. Like some other life advice, you can take it or leave it, can't you? But when it comes to just taking a moment and regulating one's breath work or breathing, I think the investment is always worthwhile of that little bit of time. 3 seconds in, 1. And 5 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see what I mean. And I've just noticed there, after years of off and on of teaching people meditation techniques, that it's much easier to count breathing out than it is counting breathing in. Quite ungainly and difficult. And of course, as well as Coach Turner, as well as Benjamin Stubbs, the author of the 30-day happiness bootcamp, we've got Elaine with us today. Who knows? She might become a little bit of a resident as well, or a big bit of a resident. Who knows? We'll find out from 9 o'clock this morning. I am reminded to show you, we like to be on the cutting edge of male fashions. Far be it from me to advise women on how to dress. I stick to the males and how they might attire themselves. And of course, we broke the news of the brokini, did we not? The unikini, the mankini. We've been right up to speed on male fashions here. And we've got a new one for you. And apparently this is the new and latest haircut. Isn't that fetching? I guess it's a kind of halo, isn't it? And it can accentuate the main features of the male face by drawing attention to it with some careful scape. It's manscaping for the face in a way, isn't it? That fellow on the top left there. Sorry, podcast listeners, but this one is well worth having a look at. If you can find yourself a rewind at some point to look at the video at about 6 minutes in. Well, you'll have the timestamp on the podcast as well. But at 6 minutes in, you're seeing the most incredible male hair fashions, serving suggestion for the hair for the male. Well, actually, women could do this as well. Not that they would probably want to. But who in the Gumper community do you think this would suit especially? No, I'm not doing it. I don't think I've got enough hair for the top part. I could manage the bottom part of this, so to speak. But the hairy halo effect, that's what we're going to call it, the hairy halo. Who might this suit in our community? Doug, that would give the nurses something to smile about who are tending to you. And we heard from Doug last night from his hospital bed. And he's back in the local hospital. He's out of specialist care, operation complete, and just into some deep physio now then, Doug. So keep on healing, my friend. Gumper dust for you this morning, my buddy. So there you go. That may be for you, Doug, the hairy halo effect. Don't say I don't spoil you or keep you at the cutting edge of male fashions and life choices. Nobody has commented about that yet, or have they? Oh, new comb over. It's more than a comb over, Deagle, isn't it? It's quite no manscaping for me, says Elaine Godley. Okay. Well, as in, I don't quite know how to take that, Elaine, but looking forward to talking to you at 9 o'clock this morning. See you then. Superb. Antonio F is in. The one and only original Banana Slug in too. Pete is responding, as we may have guessed. Just grow your beard long and then brush it over the patchy bonds. Patchy bonds. How dare you, sir? And hey ho, it's a beard over. Not only have we got the hairy halo, we now have the beard over that has been invented within this community. Peter, you legend. Not a bad haircut, he says, but not quite a beard over. So is the beard over a thing, or did you come up with that, Pete? I wonder. Bon Alegria, you say earlier on in the chat. Wow, it looks like the weather has had its beans last night. It's a mighty, not a misty, a mighty gusty morning. Gusts around the country. This windy weather has been with us for over a week now, hasn't it? And looking forward to the meetup today in San Martino de Porto. But we might have to have the awning in place. We may be looking through clear plastic later on if the wind is still whipping up down at the beach there. So maybe see you later on between 1 and 3. Yes, I have had messages from people. Is the meetup on? I don't think there's been a time when it hasn't been on. Every Wednesday. I think I've not made it twice in the history of the meetup. I was talking to June, and the regulars, Don and June. June was saying it's well over a year now since we've been doing the meetup in San Martino de Porto. It's an institution, I tell you. So great to see you there. If every Wednesday between 1 and 3. If I'm not there, somebody will be representing the Gumper atmosphere down there at the meetup in San Martino de Porto, here on the Silver Coast of Portugal. So we got PT Country Bears in. Owen, bon dia all. Sorry to see that news, Owen, but onward and upward, mate. I'm sure there's a fantastic opportunity awaiting. But yeah, I can understand how that must have been a bit of a crushing blow yesterday, mate. Let us know how you're doing this morning. Andy Klein, good morning, everyone. How are you, Andy? Deagle's in as well with a bon dia. Carl and Gumpers from a nice 9-degree overnight Belfast and should hit the dizzy highs of 17 degrees. Everyone in shirts, T-shirts, the good weather really lifts people's mood. It does, doesn't it? Oh, and we've got another earworm today. Delilah, excellent stuff. And a greeting from the one and only original banana slug. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz Cartotoros. Okay, tem feito. So let's go back to the start and see who was in first this morning. 7:46. Coach Turner was in. Lovely to have Rebel Mama and her son here to stay. Say hi from us. Had a wonderful evening, and we're off to that London today to see the Ai Weiwei exhibition. Love a bit of Ai Weiwei. He has a place in the Alentejo, of course. He's a Portuguese resident now. Yep, well said, Coach Turner. And the God Squad tip of the day then. Oh, we got some lovely images coming in. Oh, thank you, T-Duck and Peter. You've both sent me the same picture of that guy. That is quite the commitment to having hair on your head. I'll see if I can bring that to everybody. Good morning, Ancient Mariner as well, who I believe is in fair old Blighty as well. Wow. God Squad tip of the day then. The second energy system, the anaerobic lactic, can produce for up to 2 minutes, depending on the intensity. So lactic acid, when it's first released into the body, then it would seem is useful to the human being. But when it stays there, if it's not massaged away or doesn't drain away naturally, that's when it becomes a bit toxic to the system and causes pain. Is that right, Coach Turner? So the anaerobic lactic energy system, the burst of energy, can produce for up to 2 minutes. I think I know where this is going. Depending on the intensity. However, if the intensity is high, then about 40 seconds is the limit. Definitely know where that's going. This is the system that is accessed during high intensity interval training, or fartlek, as I prefer to call it. It appears, and some people's sex lives, that's where I thought it was going. It appears that the metabolic changes that result from using this energy system continue for some time after training. Yes. When you might need to light up a cigarette as the lactic acid begins to rest and toxify in the body. Hence, no, you wouldn't do that, of course. We're talking about high-performance athletes here. Although George Best, I think, used to have the occasional smoke on the pitch, didn't he? How things have changed. Hence, the body will continue to burn energy stores, including fat, for far longer than normal. Regular high-intensity interval training will begin to make long-term improvements to the metabolism. Thank you very much, Coach Turner. I couldn't help but make that connection this morning. And bon dia, alegria, Gumpers. It's a great moment to welcome onto the screen just before 8:45 this morning. It's Astrid, everybody, from Expats Portugal. Good morning to you, Astrid. Nice to be round of applause for you. How are you this morning?
I'm well. I'm in the car. I'm sorry.
I see that.
Yeah, nothing glamorous. The view that way is amazing. I thought I could give you the sea view, but the traffic was too noisy. I wouldn't be able to hear you, so I'm stuck in the car. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Could you not just do a quick 3-point turn so we can see that view out the back window? No, only kidding. No. I don't want you to put you in any danger. And I'm trying to share the. Hold on a minute, because I'm just trying to share the Expats Portugal website. But that's lovely. Thank you so much. What are we looking at this morning? What are we looking at this morning there?
That's Carcavelos Beach. Can you see?
Carcavelos. There you go. What a wonderful part of Portugal that is. Carcavelos, not far from Praia de Massa as well, and just up from Cascais, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably well, not quite halfway, but between Cascais and Lisbon, it's probably like 2/3 of the way along. So it's a very, very famous beach. It gets really, really busy on the hot days, as you can imagine. It's going to be a warm one today, 28. So I'm sure the beach will be pretty busy. But at the moment, I'm looking down there. There's lots of dogs running around and people jogging, and I can see some boats out fishing, and there's a few cruise ships coming in too. So
the cruise ships come along that way. Fantastic.
Yeah, they come in to dock at Lisbon when the big cruise ships come.
And
they come in just through here. So it's quite a nice view when you're on the beach, seeing these big floating cities.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are extraordinary, aren't they? I mean, how they get down the Tagus and Tejo there, I do not know, but they do, and they go under the bridge, of course, don't they? Quite extraordinary.
I'm actually a bit inspired to do a cruise at the moment, Carl. I'm not something I've been wanting to do, but I'm almost thinking something like a cruise to the Greek islands could be a nice treat.
Okay, and there's two parts to that. There are the Greek islands, of course, which you could go and enjoy, but you quite like the idea, do you, of having 3 or probably 7 meals a day catered for you, and like unlimited bar as well. What's
Uh,
not to like about that, right?
I love the idea of that. And, yeah, I like
Yes.
just yeah, I don't know. It seems to be something a little bit appealing at the moment. Maybe next summer it could be a good option. So off to Australia
Yes.
this summer, as you know. So
Oh,
counting down the
excellent.
days now.
Oh, wonderful. It's a trip to Australia as well. So let's have a look at the Expats Portugal website, see what's coming up. Tomorrow evening, of course, is the busy night over at Expats Portugal. And it will be, look at this. Jerry loves to talk about importing vehicles to Portugal, doesn't he? I'm sure he'll have something to say about this, as well as our expert speaker, who is from where this week?
So global international relocation. So it's going to be Rosanna because she's the expert in this area. So this would be a really good one for anyone who's considering importing a car into Portugal. So whether or not you're interested in importing a car from abroad, or going to Germany and buying a car and importing it into Portugal, if you think that you're going to be able to save some money doing it that way, or just anywhere within the EU, like what's required, because there's a lot of conflicting information too. Some people think or say that it's not worth it, that it's really, really expensive to do it that way. But there are
Mm.
other people that I know of who've done it and said they've saved thousands. So,
Oh, okay.
cars are expensive in Portugal. You can buy them cheaper within the EU, but it's a matter of what your fees and taxes are going to be, whether or not the savings pay off at the end. So I think this would be a good one. But yes, even if you're like from the States and you want to bring in your car from the States, what's required, what are the fees and taxes, and what documentation, all that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be a really interesting webinar. We haven't really covered this in detail before.
No, right. And my knee-jerk reaction to anyone wanting to bring a vehicle into Portugal, I would be like, no, don't do it. But yes, you're right. It is worthy of some research, isn't it? Especially if you're attached to your particular vehicle. I think that's a key issue, isn't it? If your vehicle is one you can't buy in Portugal, or if you're especially attached to it, this is well worth tuning in tomorrow night and listening to what Roxana from Global International Relocation has to say.
But I think it's also, if you've got experts working for you doing it, who
Yeah.
know what they're doing, it would probably take away a lot of the stress. Like perhaps if you're doing it yourself, it could be, much more complicated. But this is what these guys do. They do this for their clients. So, it's a bit
Absolutely
like
right.
using an immigration company as opposed to doing your visa process yourself.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for, and you know that you're dealing with experts. So, if you can, take the easy way, I'd say.
Well said, well said. And of course, yeah, you're absolutely right. For a lot of people with these processes, you'll be doing it once. These professionals are doing it all day long for many people, so they know exactly what to do.
Yes.
Great stuff. Okay, and after, of course, the ever popular, increasingly popular Dream Team session. I find that more and more fun every week. Do we know who's coming in tomorrow evening?
Not yet. It's a bit of a spur of the moment drop in, a bit like
Yeah.
getting together at the last moment. But yes, I'm not too sure exactly who's going to be attending yet. But I'm sure there'll be the regulars
There we
and,
go. Look.
and anyone else that comes in. But no, it is a lot of fun. And Carl, I wanted to thank you last night too. I don't know how much of your audience who are watching today saw the Golden Visa special that we did last
Oh
night,
yes.
but I thought that was extremely informative. And if there are people that are interested in the Golden Visa, let's try and get that recording up on YouTube as soon as we can, in case there's
Yeah,
anybody else that
absolutely.
wants to watch it. But it's not too late. You can do it if you want to, and it is a opportunity to act now, and then take advantage of it later. So if you definitely want to come to Portugal under the Golden Visa scheme, then now's it's counting down now as far as when
It
to
is
react.
absolutely. It's a moment in Portuguese history, basically. The Portugal Golden Visa is coming to an end, but it's not too late. And absolutely, I had a great conversation with Jason Swan from Holborn Assets yesterday, and that will be up on the Expats Portugal YouTube channel soon, so people can find out about the details of doing that, the process itself, which is it's not too late to do so, and some convenient and attractive vehicles for doing so. Before you go, Astrid, we've got this caught my eye over on the what's on in Portugal, expatsportugal.com. If you want to become a member, use the link that I'm putting on the screen there, and that's in the chat as well. Comedy social show, English stand-up comedy in Aveiro and Porto. This looks good. This is a one night only. Well, I guess it's 2 nights if you think of it being in Porto and Aveiro, but only one night in each of those, it would seem. And we're looking at a one night only comedy show with international comedians Manuel Godinho and Zana Fejcik. Come and join 2 international comedians touring Portugal to give you the summer night out that you deserve. That sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's up your way, isn't it, Carl? You should head
Well,
out.
no, I used to live up that way. Aveiro is going to be a long. Well, I think I'm becoming a little bit not as adventurous as I used to be. I drove up to Pontelima a few weekends ago and went past Aveiro, and I just don't get out as much as I used to. So I must put that right. I'd love to go out to a comedy night like that. If anyone from Expats Portugal or from Good Morning Portugal communities is going to that, why not say so on the forum, and you can meet up with some friends there, or make new friends at this comedy social show there. I know you're busy and you've got things to do this week.
I do.
Anything else to share?
We've got the Coldplay concert today, so my daughter's off to Coldplay to see them live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so unfortunately we have to drive 2 hours to get there, and then by the time it's finished, drive 2 hours back to Lisbon. But
Nice.
but yes, I think we bought the tickets a year ago. And,
Did you?
Finally, they're here. It's
So that's amazing. Are you going along as well? Are you going with daughter to see Coldplay?
Am I going? No. Their dad's taking her.
Oh wow! What a night to remember. That'll be fantastic. Right, have a great day over there in Cascais, and see you soon. Cheers, Astrid. Bye for now. See you tomorrow evening. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. There she goes. Oh wow! Look at that. That's the sort of stuff that's makes for great memories when you're a teenager. Who was the first band you went to see? Madness was mine at the Hammersmith Odeon. Saw Madness when it was an under-16s gig, but it was like being a proper grown-up, going to the Hammersmith Odeon, and it was terrifying because the whole place was full of skinheads, the British phenomenon that is the skinhead. Lots of nutty boys, as they used to call themselves. Not that I would have dared call any of them that to their face. And they used to wear steel toe-cap boots, and there was a great big room where on the ticket it said no toe caps. Or something else, probably no knives or something like that, but no steel toe caps. And anyone wearing steel toe cap boots, the cherry reds, I think they used to call them, had to take them off and leave them in a room until after the gig. And what a gig that was. Some time ago in the 1980s, Madness at the Hammersmith Odeon. At Lord Gilchrist, my first concert was the Rolling Stones at the old Wembley Stadium. I was 16. Well, that is a memory. Were they good that particular night? All right. Madness. Well done, Carl. Very cool. Thank you, Becky. Good morning to you. And Huey Lewis, the Global Nobles, saw That's the Power of Love. Huey Lewis and the News, and Becky saw King at Cornwall Coliseum. That's what my heart yearns for now. Oh wow! Actually, my first gig when I was taken with my parents was to see Glenn Campbell at the Colston Hall, I think, in Bristol. Wow, there's a lot of memories flooding back for people who don't normally share anything, like Michelle Stevenson. Hello, Michelle. The Charlatans at Exeter College. Fantastic. Look at you lot. Amazing bands here. That young people today would, just imagine that, saying you went to see the Stones or Huey Lewis or the Charlatans. Awesome gig, says Andrew. The last day of the Urban Jungle World Tour. Oh, well, yeah. A band are often they're going to be tired, but when they know it's the last day, they may play their in the Rolling Stones case, they may well play their ancient own barely beating hearts out for a gig of that kind. First tickets I bought, House Martins. Whoa! Belfast, 1987. Oh, fantastic, the House Martins. And of course, Paul Heaton went on to be a solo artist. Fatboy Slim, the drummer, went on to do his thing as well. They didn't know that in 1987, did they? Thank you, everybody. And most recent gig, Muse in Lisboa. Well, you can't have everything, Andrew Gilchrist. 10-pole Tudor. Oh, yes. Over the hills with the swords of 1,000 men. Look at this. The title goes to Saw the Beatles live in Bradford. Wow. Look at you, Paul Richards. Thank you for being here this morning. My sister saw a new local band at our high school dance. They were called the Grateful Dead. Other Deadheads are here in the audience as well. This is amazing this morning. Thank you, Astrid, for prompting this. I think mainly Astrid's daughter, who's off to see Coldplay today. Well, a night to remember. We have Elaine Godley joining us in just a little while. We've got a few more hellos to do. In fact, let's make sure we do the deep thought of the day before we do a happy, healthy hump day with Elaine Godley. She might be thinking as she waits in the backstage here in the green room, what have I let myself in for? A happy, healthy hump day? What? He didn't tell me about that. Deep thought. Scar tissue is stronger than regular tissue. Realize the strength. Move on. Henry Rollins. Wow. Scar tissue is stronger than regular tissue. Yes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, perhaps, and it's there in the scar, in the scar memories. Henry Lawrence Garfield, professionally known as Henry Rollins, is an American singer, writer, spoken word artist, actor, and presenter. Portuguese saying of the day, then. Uma andorinha só não faz verão. One swallow does not make a summer. I see what you're doing here, and that's a universal, isn't it? Well, certainly wherever swallows are known around the world. Let's move on from one colour swallow to another. No, stop it. Quem sabia? 1891, Bordalo Pinheiro first created the ceramic swallows, the andorinhas that you see adorning houses and buildings all over Portugal. And here's a little picture of some right there. Isn't that lovely? I do like to see these. I like to see his green frogs as well. And oh, hold on a minute. Suddenly loads of comments came in. Swallows are monogamous. They mate for life. And every year return to the same place to nest. This is why they're associated with love, loyalty, family, and faithfulness. I did not know that. At first, they were given by lovers to symbolize their affection, but later became amulets of harmony, happiness, and prosperity. You'll see them adorning walls and windows. There's some in somebody's interior there. And a few more here featuring, the frog, you see, and other kinds of ceramics, including cabbage plates and great big tomatoes. But there's a lot of swallows on the wall there. And finally, with this, and there is no better souvenir from Portugal than for those you care about. Andorinhas are in ceramic shops all around the country. But the Bordalo Pinheiro brand is available directly from Vista Alegre. Is that the ceramics production facility in Aveiro? It's all about Aveiro this morning, isn't it? Talking of which, Aveiro, if you haven't heard of it, quite a lot of talk about Aveiro. It is, of course, the Venice of Portugal. And if you go to Venice, you will see in Venice that they have a similar sign which says, "Welcome to Venice, the Aveiro of Italy." Good stuff, T-Duck. Thank you very much indeed for the Quesabia today. That will be banked over there in the bulging factoid session of the GMP VIP platform. I'm feeling generous today. If you'd like a guest pass to that, drop me a line, drop me a message. You can have a little nosy around for yourself in there. Thank you very much then for the news about the swallows that are monogamous and mate for life. We've got dad jokes to come. We'll find out if Elaine Godley likes a dad joke or two. And the earworm of the day, we've been talking about bands, haven't we? Who's seen the sensational Alex Harvey band? I lived at a place that had a great big, it was an old agricultural college, and the sensational Alex Harvey band were thought to have trod the boards there, and the Who as well. And I've done panto on that same stage. Shared a stage with the Who and the Alex Harvey band, but not on the same night. Earworm then of the day, Delilah, the sensational Alex Harvey band, though the Tom Jones one will do, and people may well be singing that for the rest of the day. Thanks to you, Coach Turner. Okay, who else has joined us since we've been talking this morning? I think there's more talk about that haircut that we were looking at a little bit earlier on. Let me just, before Elaine gets here so that we don't frighten her with this picture, let's have a look at the beard over that has been sent in. It's an incredible piece of work, it has to be said. A lot of work has gone. This is a man who spends far too much time in the bathroom shaping and sculpting that. That is quite something, isn't it? Carl Is that a hairstyle tribute to you? They just didn't realize you were wearing a headset. Well, that'll be wonderful if you could have a Princess Leia style headset haircut going on. Thank you very much, everybody, for your help on this matter. Good morning, people, from Lee McGrady. Oh, I was sent a sign that would really upset you. This is after yesterday's conversation about smoking and the banning thereof. There are new. Well, Steve Merwin was over in Japan. And he saw some street signs, actually literally street signs, because they were on the pavement. A lot of places you can't smoke anymore. There are little bubbles of places where you can smoke in Japan, and you're reminded as you walk around Tokyo that you cannot smoke. With signs like this, smoking on the street is prohibited. Right? You may see this soon, Lee McGrady. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news for you, anyway. There in Lisbon, you might see that sort of thing soon in a 15-minute city near you. Let's see before we go to Elaine this morning. Any more gigs? Any more great memories? Maybe the hairy halo could be enhanced to include a man bun on the top. Aunt Flo, Bod's sidekick. Thank you, Michelle. This has captured the imagination of many. Great minds think alike. Yeah, Pete and T-Duck, thank you for that picture. I'm going to a restaurant Sunday night. Minister of Home Affairs bringing me a Portuguese time in Belfast. 6 by Nico. You get 6 servings with drinks. We'll let you know how it tastes. Please, and if you've got any photos of that, that sounds great. 6 by Nico is the Portuguese restaurant then in Belfast. Am I right in thinking that? Carcavelos, located between Lisbon and Cascais. Good morning to you, Antonio F. Good to see you. All right, let's give her a nice big round of applause. We'll come back to a few more of those bands later. That's going to be the first question for Elaine, isn't it? Who we welcome back to the show. Nice big round of applause. Hello, Elaine. How are you?
Good morning, good morning. It looks as though I'm looking up in the sky. Well, of course, we all put you up on a pedestal.
But there's really no need.
I've got a new computer that I bought when I went to England recently, and the camera is at the bottom of the screen. Have you ever heard of such nonsense?
I have.
Well,
yes.
I need some tips because I've got an external camera because the one at the bottom doesn't work. It's ridiculous. So the standalone one is on the top of the screen, but it makes me look like I'm looking in the air, and I can't. Whatever I try and do, I just can't figure out. So help, please.
Yeah, they didn't think that through, did they? You are the second person I've spoken to, I think. I mean, to be fair, I do speak to a lot of people via their webcams, and I did hear of this phenomenon of the camera being put at the bottom of the screen, and it does make for a kind of awkward conversation sometimes, doesn't it? So yeah, maybe you need to get an outboard camera and stick it back on the top.
Well, I have. I am talking to you on an outboard camera.
Oh, I see. Right, so you are looking at.
Okay.
So we're not. That is your fix for the strange bottom camera, so to speak.
Well, I don't even know why it's gone like this. I did an interview with a lady in India last night, and it was perfectly fine.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I have my own podcast. And
well, may I say it's not too much of a big deal. You look fabulous. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, darling. You look fabulous too with your comb over headphone. If you took an outline, you could say that you have a manscape with your beard and your headphones.
Manscaping not for you though, you said.
No, absolutely not. No, I do get the odd hair, here or there. But,
oh, is that what you meant? I thought you didn't like it on the fellas. Okay, well, clearly not for you personally, but yeah, it is perhaps a sign of a man who spends too much time on his personal care, isn't it? If he's got all that time. Sculpt, shave various parts of his body. Well, you're absolutely fine with this camera. We can see your keyboard now from that shot. It's actually maybe this is how we'll be in the future, and everyone will get used to it. I don't know, but we can see you, we can hear you, which is the main thing. So it's been about 2 years, maybe 3 since we last spoke. You were one of the first guests, weren't you?
Yes, that's right. So I've been on a couple of times. The last time I was staying in a derelict hotel. Because I'd left the previous place I was because of a difference in values with the person that I came over here with, but that's another story, which we won't put on air. But yeah, I think it was about 18 months ago last time I was on, Carl.
Right. Okay, and then before that, I think we heard. I'd love to hear some more about you, because a lot of people won't know you. You know, our audience. Some people have been right here right from the start, and there are a few newbies as well. So it'd be lovely to hear about your amazing health story, your personal story, and of course what you're up to at the moment. And you're going to be on the TV soon, is that right?
Yes, next week we've got a health day at Figs on the Funch, which is next Tuesday, 22nd. So that's a health day with Dr. Britt Cordy's coming over from the UK, who created the live organic wheatgrass company that I use every day.
Oh, really?
And that's just an amazing story. Her story is tremendous as well. And she was covered in eczema from birth, and then when she was at university, discovered the benefits of wheatgrass and wanted to be able to send it to her family in Denmark. So she figured out a way with lots of university research and studies and whatnot. And so she sells it, well, Europe and America. And it's amazing. So she's going to be talking about her story and the benefits of wheatgrass. I'm going to be talking about how I help people. There we are. Wonderful. Thank you. And you know, you've spoken before to the owners who are
Cheryl, yeah.
Graham and Cheryl, yeah. So they were on the TV with is it not Seasons in the Sun? And isn't that a Terry Jack record music?
That's right. Yes. Who saw Terry Jackson concert as a teenager? He only had one. It would have been a short set, I think. He only had that one big tune, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the TV show, but they certainly featured this, didn't they, on the telly? And what a fantastic, picturesque, and photogenic place it is.
Yeah. So we're going to be there
Look at
next
that.
Tuesday.
Absolutely.
It's 11 till about 4:30, and it involves different talks, health and wellbeing stuff, and a lovely vegan lunch and a walk afterwards. So that's going to be a good day there. So
Okay.
people can book on go on the Figs website, or there's a booking place. I can't remember. Maybe if Cheryl was listening, she can put the booking link in. I can't remember what it is.
I'll put the link to the website for sure in there,
Yeah,
because
great,
whether or
thank
not
you.
you're going there next Tuesday, it's a great place to visit. Where it's in the Algarve, isn't it? Which particular part of the Algarve are we finding Figs
Yeah,
on the Foncho?
it's near Sills. It's actually in Messines. It's just on the back end of Messines, and it's by the Barragem.
Oh, okay.
Lovely, there we go. Yeah, so thanks for putting that in
Yeah. There it is.
in the
That
chat.
that is a picture of it there. Okay. I think you got some friends in this morning. Look, Louise is in Solo 50 Plus Portugal. And last time I saw you on the screen, Louise, you said you're having a bit of a break from the vlogging, but then I think you were drawn back into it. What's going on with you, Louise? About time we had a chat with you again soon. Please come and talk to us on the Good Morning Portugal show soon. Elaine and her friends keep me sane. In this, I was going to say, well, that's quite a job, and that's nothing personal. I mean, what I'm saying is it is quite a mad world at the moment, and it's great to have friends around you, keep you sane in a mad world of what people call health. So that's a little bit of a clue to your angle on how you approach health and well-being, I think, Elaine. But I want to ask you about wheatgrass. So do you actually drink wheatgrass every day, and how could you?
I do, yes. I have two sachets of live organic wheatgrass every day. It comes frozen, and each sachet is the equivalent nutrition of 3 large heads of broccoli. It's got every nutrient you can imagine, the enzymes, the
Wow.
amino acids, minerals. And in fact, as a result of having wheatgrass, I no longer wear glasses. I wear them occasionally if I've had a
Oh, wow.
busy day on the computer or my eyes are tired or whatever, and twilight driving, I'll wear them sometimes now. But I've been wearing glasses for over 40 years. And since using wheatgrass, I don't, obviously everybody is different. So you can't say I had wheatgrass and your eyes will get fixed. And, there are some physical things that change in your eyesight, but it's, one of the amazing stories. And I've had several people, juicing was part of my recovery from stage 4 cancer back in 2015. I was juicing like a ninja, and I didn't know about live organic wheatgrass at the time, but I recommend it to everybody now because ninja juicing, it takes so much time, the cost, the expense, the faffing about, the cleaning up, etc., etc. It's just a full-time job. But when you've got something serious like that to deal with, you have to throw everything at it. So all I do now is snip off the top of the sachet, pop it in a blender, or wait till it's defrosted and drink within half an hour. Job's a good one.
That sounds really good and convenient. The flavour of the wheatgrass, is it there in its intensity, or can you tone it down a bit with a few frozen strawberries?
Yeah, you throw
Or have you
whatever
got
you
used
like
to
in
it?
it. I've got used to it, but I put lemon. I
Right.
put half the organic lemon squeezed in, and sea salt as well. Or sometimes I'll throw it
Oh, that
throw a
does
couple
sound
of
good.
things into a smoothie. Put all kinds of things in, bee pollen
Yeah.
as well, turmeric. I throw whatever I fancy in it, and raw cacao or cacao powder as well is nice with almond milk or something like that. Or you can put apple juice, whatever
Sounds
you fancy.
amazing.
We will be sampling it next
Yeah.
Tuesday. So
It's been a long time. Excellent. It's been a long time since I've had wheatgrass, and I actually did have a tray of it. You know, back in the day, people used to get a tray of it, didn't they? Delivered
Well,
possibly to their house, and
mm,
that's how I first remember having it and juicing it from that
yeah,
in that
that's
style.
okay if you don't have cancer, but if you have cancer, that's not recommended unless you are really adept at
Oh,
growing,
really?
because it needs to be grown to a certain height to grow out the sugar. Otherwise, there's too much sugar in it. So
Oh,
this is grown in
okay.
the fields in Northamptonshire, in the English countryside, and when you
Wow.
homegrown, it's short, and you've got just a short amount, and that's packed with sugars. So as it grows up higher, that
Okay.
it's a bit like when you have kombucha, you're brewing kombucha, health drink. You start off with sugar, and people think, well, how can that be healthy? But then
Yes.
it ferments off. It's similar kind of thing with the
Yeah.
growing out of sugars in the wheatgrass.
I didn't know that, and of course, you know, you made a caveat there. It's not the same for everybody. Just because you drink wheatgrass doesn't mean you're going to throw your glasses away. It affects people
Yeah.
differently, and there are nuances there, aren't there? You can't just say X, Y, or Z is good for you, because there are those nuances, and I didn't realize that. And of course, that makes complete and utter sense that your wheatgrass would have a different capability, a power punch, depending on how old it is, of course. So yes, very interesting, and that might lure me back. The fact that it is so convenient now might lure me back into the wheatgrass game. I think Mrs. M tuned in another room in the house will be up for some of that. Are you going to give us a link of some sort so that we can find? I mean, you're going to mention quite a few things, I think, this morning, aren't you? So what's the best place for people to get in touch with you and to find out more, Elaine?
Well, I was going to say invoice me. I don't want an invoice, do I? I want an email. Email me, Elaine at
Invoice me.
Elaine at discplus.health. That will get to me, and people can have a look at the website's rubbish at the
Okay,
moment.
simple
I'm
as that.
not
Elaine,
happy with it. It's in the process of being changed. But Elaine at
you're not alone.
discplus.health.
You're so busy. A lot of people don't like the state of their website. I imagine it has been attended to in the last year, though, and it'll be a good place to start.
Yeah.
So Elaine at Disc Plus. It's not easy to say, is it? Discplus.health. Great stuff. Okay, and that begs the question: what is Disc Plus? Because that's a diagnostic service, as I recall, that you're involved in as well, right? A health diagnostic.
Yes, although we don't say diagnostic because we're not not medically trained, but the disc part of it, that kind of it's an assessment. It's not a test. It's not a pass or fail everything. Disc is about behavioural profiling. So behavioural profiling is about
Oh,
the way I use it is I use the psychology of having to the behavioural psychology is when you know what your behaviour patterns are, you can then manage yourself. When you manage yourself, you can get a lot better in terms of personal
yes.
relationships, career, health, etc. So what I've done now, I've taken the traditional DISC model. So DISC stands for, in my world, it's direct, inspiring, supportive, and conscientious. DISC. So if you were to look at the Google thing or whatever you use, and put disc behavioural profiling, you'll come up with millions, literally millions and millions of hits. It's a very popular personality type tool. I've taken that tool and I've created my own model. For 20 years, I was using somebody else's tool. I've now got my own developed by my fantastic team who are in Pakistan, Nawal Global Systems. They're really, really good guys. So they look after the back end of the website. So people can go on there, find out what their behavioural pattern is, and then we can look at how that behaviour will help them or hinder them in life. So it's in business, in life, and in health. I particularly use it in health now because some years ago I was a volunteer on a cancer helpline, and there were patterns coming through with the behaviours. So I was scraping people off the ceiling who'd been told that they'd got 10 minutes to live, or picking people up off the floor if they were given news in such a devastating way. But the way that the medics deliver this news is horrendous, and I've been there and several times, and it's not funny. So helping people to deal with any shocking news, it will depend upon their personality style as to how they receive the news, how they deal with it going forward, etc. So I've created a model which includes the DISC behavioural profiling. So let's look at what your behaviour pattern is first of all, how that behaviour helps you or hinders you. In fact, what day is it? Tuesday today? What day is it today?
It's Wednesday. It's actually Wednesday. I'm not the best person to ask on these things,
Oh, right,
but yeah, I
okay,
believe it's Wednesday today.
Every day in Portugal is the same to me. Right, so tonight I'm actually talking about this tonight. I've got I'm doing a series of
Yes, well, I bet you're glad you had a chat with me this morning then to remind you. Anytime, Elaine, anytime.
So tonight, 8 o'clock, I'm doing a free masterclass, which is talking about DISC behaviour profiling. It's actually related to work and career. So what I noticed, going back to the helpline, I noticed that there was a pattern on when people have shocking news, there's a whole bundle of things that they need to consider to keep themselves in balance. And when they're out of balance, life is all about balance, no matter how you look at it. When we're out of balance in whatever way, then we have problems. So there are 10 areas that I've observed in my own cancer journey as well, that if they're not in balance, you end up in trouble. And they are work, home, friends, family, behaviours, attitudes, values, mind, body, and something else.
The other one.
So the other one, yeah. So there's 10 areas, and I'm doing the masterclasses. Each masterclass, basically, it's turning into a discussion forum where we speak openly, very frankly, about what's going on in the world. And some of my views on that, which is off of Facebook. But I'm going to behave myself today in that regard.
I don't believe that for a minute. Let's see how we get on. No, you can speak openly and freely here. I mean, the thing is, if other people can respond and other people can come on and be guests on the show. You're our guest today, and I think part of it's interesting. You're talking about behavior, and of course, one's behavior in one area of life will be much the same as another, notwithstanding the context and social norms and mores, that sort of thing. But I think our life is a result of how we're being, isn't it? And how we are being is a result of our upbringing or conditioning, and also our conscious intervention into who we think we are. And I think that's from what I have seen, what you post on Facebook and conversations we've had, it's a lot about that, isn't it? It's a lot about intervening into how we're being in life, and maybe challenging some of the things we've been given and conditioned to believe, and maybe finding out what's really true for yourself as a sovereign individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where I always come back to DISC behavioural profiling. So I was introduced to it in the probably late 80s to early 90s when I was working in the legal profession. And I was intrigued how the behaviour patterns for the lawyers were different to the leaders. And I started looking into that. So I've been dealing with the DISC behavioural profile model, and I chose that one because I could use it with students. I can use it with 12-year-olds and upwards to senior business execs and everybody in between. Whereas some of the other models now are so complicated, you need a degree to interpret what the report is. Yeah. So I use that one because when I was at school, which I really detested, it was only sports and swimming that kept me at school. And I used to bunk off. to the local cemetery, actually, where the Crays are buried in Chinkford, which is where I grew up.
Hold on a minute. Who's buried there? The Crays, did you say?
The Crays, yeah. The Cray twins and their mother are buried in Chinkford Mount Cemetery. And I used to bunk off there.
Do you know what? Just a quick diversion, and this is how our conversation will be. Me and Elaine talking. It will be tangential, but I was watching something on Netflix last night called White Gold about Essex in the 1980s and double glazing salesmen. I think you would love it. It's got a couple of lads from the In-Betweeners in it. And it's hilarious. I think there are a few characters in there you might recognise. There is a gangster character that might be loosely based on a Cray type behaviour. Wow! So you bunked off school. To translate that for our American friends here, that is I don't know what the American expression is. Bunking off, playing hooky. That's another.
Playing hooky, I guess. Yeah.
But there you were then. So you've always been a bit of a non-conformist, an unconventional person. I think your camera just fallen off the top of your laptop.
No, I thought I'd be clever and try and move it, but it made no difference. It made things worse.
We are definitely looking at you through the bottom camera, which is a phrase I don't really like to utter on a Good Morning Breakfast Portugal show.
Yeah. Right. Okay. That might explain it.
What's that?
Maybe my top camera's not kicked in.
Yeah, maybe. Well, you might have to select it if you go into the settings of StreamYard that we're using here. You can choose which camera you're using. Andrew says skipping school, bunking off. So there you were. You're only there for the.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
There we are. Thank you.
Does that feel better?
Better. I was on the wrong thing, wasn't I? I needed to press a button. Thank you.
That's all right. Good. And look at that. As soon as you change that, someone recognises you. Good to see you, Elaine. From GW.
That's Graham from Figs. Hi, Graham.
Oh, good morning to you, Graham and Cheryl, and have a great event next Tuesday. And we've got a review about your wheatgrass sachets. They are lovely. They are like ice pops. Had them on Elaine's. So you do health retreats as well. Come on, this conversation is all over the place, Elaine. So let's go back to school. You're bunking off. I think you have had an education outside of school by the sound of it. You didn't get much from school, but you've educated yourself, and DISC is part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I left school at 16 with a handful of O-levels and CSEs back in the day. Not very good grades, I have to say. Started work and then messed about for a few years doing whatever. Got married, too young at 19. But I'm still in contact with number one husband, so that's all very nice.
Number one husband?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and then into the legal world by the sound of it. Is that the work?
No. I went into to business. I was in the police for a short while. I was a special police constable. Yeah, my dad was a police inspector, so I was growing up with the police way of life. In the job, as they call it.
The job, yes, indeed.
Job. Yeah. So then when I applied, I was going through my first divorce. And they said, we don't have any of that nonsense here. Sort your life out and come back and reapply. But in the meantime, how about being a special? So I did. I joined, and my number was WSCJ 222. So guess what my lucky number is now? Anything to do with twos and 22s.
You're not alone. There is somebody else in this community who likes a 2 or 2. Yes, definitely. So you're 222. Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then I met my second husband and we started a business, which was in the kitchen industry. We were both working at a kitchen company. I was managing the contracts section and teaching carpenters, because there was no such thing as kitchen fitters in those days. There were carpenters who kind of turned their hand at fitting kitchens, because we've not really had fitted kitchens. I'm going back now to the late 70s, so a long time ago. And I'd be helping these chippies on the telephone. Remember the old telephone that we used to? So I'm holding the telephone and I've got great big maps, architectural drawings explaining that they move this here for so many inches and move that there and put this here and that. And so I learned about kitchen fitting when I was in my early 20s. And then, and I can't help myself now. When I go into people's kitchens, I surreptitiously look around and I think, oh, that's a bit silly, and I wouldn't put that there. And what have they done that for?
But that's the police in you as well, though, isn't it? With that,
I guess so. Yeah,
observation, I think, as well. Yeah, my father was in the job too, and it's something something sort of rubs off on you, doesn't it? About that way of looking at life and looking at people. More to the point, they do have a certain way of looking at humanity, don't they?
Yeah, and also there's some statistics and some research about first child of a police officer as well. I can't
really?
Remember. Yeah, but there's something. It kind of stacks up with me being a bit of an oddball and not fitting in anywhere. I've never fitted in anywhere in my whole life and have no intention.
You do surprise me. Right. All right. So this is quite. I mean, often very interesting people do have these circuitous routes through life. So kitchen fitting and being the first child of a police officer. Where did we go to after that?
We went to nearly 2 million turnover, which took us up to the 80s. I was dealing with lords and ladies one day, East End gangsters the next day. We had
Superb.
4 showrooms in London. I can walk along the Thames and show you all the kitchen buildings that we did. We did refurbishments of Docklands area, which was not as it is today. It was all warehouses still, so we put a lot of the kitchens in. And I was project
Wow.
managing. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I later learned all the technical. When I did a master's degree, I did an MBA years later. But I learned all the technical, words for what I was doing intuitively. But it was project managing.
It must have been so annoying for you to do an MBA and just keep saying, "Yeah, I used to do this." It just wasn't called that.
Well, I learned to keep my mouth shut, but I've always humour has always followed me as well. Frank discussion and humour has kept me sane.
Yeah,
But
amazing.
I was actually I had no business being on the call. So what happened? Had great business, lots of an amazing obscene lifestyle really when I look back.
An obscene lifestyle.
Well, because of the way, we had loads of money came in, money went out, we had no records, we didn't have any processes and systems. So I learned the hard way, really. It didn't seem hard at the time, but I learned how not to run a business as much as how to run a business. We were in the right place at the right time, and the business was phenomenal, won lots of awards and so on. But then in 1986, when it was clear that we could no longer sustain what was going on because marketing was changing, we were selling kitchens at 25,000 UK pounds back in those days, and then the flat packs came on the market, and people buy the same thing for like 5 or 10 grand, and then throw it away. They could replace often. So we didn't see that coming. Also, all the business success, the fast cars, the fancy living, etc., took its toll. And I thought this was all part and parcel of what successful business people did. That's how they lived, not realizing that the husband of the day had become an alcoholic, always liked to drink anyway. And I was used to that environment from my dad's day in sports and everything. You celebrate afterwards, you have a drink. So it was no big shakes. But turns out that he had become an alcoholic. And 31st of January 1989, things got a bit hairy when he strangled me and left me for dead. So that was the end of all of that. I've had all kinds of interesting things happen to me over the years, but
clearly,
no, it's like they happen to somebody else. It's like another life. I'm talking about somebody else. And that's how we need to deal with these emotional things that happen to us. It's when we retain the emotion, that's what makes us ill, and that's the thing. So I support people to reverse stage 4 cancer, as I did with myself, and other things. But my prime aim is to help people to be well. Don't get to that silly stage of what's that thing? A stitch in time saves 9. Don't get to late stage illness. Avoid it. So that's what I teach people to do now, and I do that in corporate settings. But it was a bit scary, and so one of us had to get a job. We went on holiday, or before the strangling business, we went on holiday.
Strangling business. Yes, that's one way of putting it. It does sound a bit like you'll love this show, White Gold. And it sounds a bit like a hybrid of White Gold and the Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. I would enjoy that. Yes, I'll have a look at that. Thank you. I'll just
what a lifestyle. What a lifestyle. And what's interesting about what you say is how it was normal to you as well. And that's what we do, isn't it? We normalize these situations. And that was just the life you lived, right? With high stakes, all luxuries of life, boozing, and that was just everyday life for you.
Yeah, sports cars, gambling at casinos. We did all Harrods work, so I was hobnobbing with all sorts of fancy people, lunching at really really nice places, designer clothes. I remember one time my husband, we had a sports car, antique sports car shop, or vintage sports. No, it's the wrong word. Anyway, old cars.
Classics.
Classics. That's it. And I remember husband the other day saying to our kitchen designer, "Here we are. Can you just pop down and buy that car for me?" I mean, how arrogant is that? But
That's amazing.
that's how we were, you know.
It was the
Ridiculous.
80s as well, though, Elaine, right?
Yes,
This sounds so. There's loads of money, isn't it? It's the
it
80s.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. And that's my only. If I had a regret, is that's the only thing that I've not been more careful with money. But I was never brought up with money. To me, money is just a thing that you use to get other things, you know.
Yeah.
I've had loads of money. I've had no money. I've been homeless. You know, everything in between. But it's things we're taught to value, things we're conditioned to value. It's completely the wrong way around. We're taught to have, you know, the biggest car, the designer clothes, the fancy this, that, and the other thing, and it's all nonsense. We don't need any of it. Living simply, living healthily. I'm growing my own veg here, and I'm almost sustainable. I got excited this morning, and but don't take this the wrong way, listeners. But I've got a rather large cucumber in my garden, and I've grown it myself. And
How could you not take that the wrong way?
yeah, I mean,
You're on the Good Morning Portugal show,
I'm
for heaven's
excited
sake.
about the cucumber.
Well, I mean that you are. I mean, these are the new millionaires, aren't they? The people who can grow their own food. The way things are going in the shops.
I am a billionaire because I have my health. I have the best health ever, and I keep myself tip top. I know how to do that, and as I say, that's what I teach other people now. And I do that using the disc behavioural profiling. So I've got 4 pillars: the disc behavioural profiling tool, which shows what our natural behaviours are, how we can use those behaviours to our advantage, and how they get us into trouble, as well as helping us. So my profile got me into trouble with the different cancers, and I was also born with the kidney disease, but that's another. We may or may not touch on that. I dealt with that as well. I was told I'd be on medication for life, and it was incurable, but I dealt with it. So this behavioural profile, we have a metabolic analysis, which is about the physiological, chemical makeup of the body, a detailed questionnaire. Then we have 2 assessments, and I'll be having these with me next week at the FIG day. A blood analysis, a finger prick blood analysis that people do their own sample at home, and a hair analysis. If there's no hair on the head, beard hair will do, or even fingernails.
What makes you say that? I wonder.
Well, just in case.
Look, what about this? Could you help this man?
If he has hair at the back of his head, well, if it looks like he has got a bit, yeah, you take it from the scalp at the back. That's where we take the sample from.
Okay, so that's relief.
We've got 2 laboratory tests, 2 online tests, with assessments, not tests, and that gives a complete picture of what's going in the body. It tells me what's going on with the mind, the behaviour, physically with the body, and then we can use that information then to make a recovery plan. And live organic wheatgrass is part of that plan, absolutely a given, because it's the easiest, quickest way to recover. And I know 2 people, husband and wife, that had stage 4 liver cancer at separate times in their life, and they both recovered by using the wheatgrass. It's so potent, and it's easy, and it's not expensive. It's less than the price of a cup of coffee a day.
It's amazing, isn't it? These things are around us, these miracles, and we just kind of can. I mean, there probably is a collective disc analysis, isn't there, for societies? And what I would guess that the disc analysis of this current society has it leaning towards the values you were talking about, you know, valuing things that might not necessarily be truly nourishing and supportive and fulfilling for human beings. And we've got all these miraculous natural products around us that some parts of our society are desperately trying to outlaw. And they are such a gift, God's gift, you might say.
Absolutely, in our garden.
Yeah, right outside there. You don't have to go too far, do you? Unless, of course, somebody streamed it into oblivion, or pesticided it, and herbicided it into oblivion. These things are there for us, aren't they? If we just begin to study and open ourselves. But then again, that comes back to the disc analysis, doesn't it? It's like, you know, some people are like, no, I don't need any of that old, you know, Stone Age malarkey. I've got wonderful drugs that scientists just follow the science and take whatever the scientists and people in white coats give us, and we'll be fine.
Exactly. And I used to run cardiovascular health clinics when I was in the UK, and amongst other things that I've done. And for a few years, I have a device which I may take with me next Tuesday, actually, to the health day. and it tells what's going on with the heart and the arteries, so we can
Right.
predict the likelihood of a heart attack or a stroke. And then I have a variety of different supplements that I can recommend depending on what's required.
Yes.
And some people would say to me, why would I pay you privately to have this assessment? If I have a heart attack or a stroke, the NHS will sweep me up. Well, how
Yeah.
ridiculous is that? Because, sometimes people
That's what
don't just get
it's what I've
medical.
paid my national insurance contributions for, Elaine.
Exactly, but it's also could be the fatal thing.
Yes.
The NHS don't test for this. They'll
No.
sweep you up. I mean, they're great if you've had a car crash or some real
No question.
you need stitching back together again. But in terms of prevention and maintenance, they're geared to treat us, not to cure us. They're there to treat
Yes,
us.
absolutely right. And we can see this, can't we? It is the tendency of Western health systems, mainstream health systems at the moment. Louise saying the way Elaine just drops into the conversation that she was strangled and left for dead. Some people would keep milking that and harp on about it for a reaction. Ocean Dweller, I agree with you. Aviva says, I agree that health is the greatest form of wealth. So we better talk about Portugal, Elaine.
Yes.
Can we fast forward the story to you setting foot for the first time in Portugal? And what's the connection?
Okay, so my son has Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism. Apparently, people don't get that diagnosis anymore. You're just told that you're autistic, and that's that. But there's an extreme spectrum. So he's on the top end. It's very bright, but lacking in social skills and so on, which is a factor with Asperger's. I didn't think he would be able to live independently, so I was living in Nottingham at this stage, and I bribed him. Total transparency here. I bribed him with a puppy dog, and said, "Come and live with me." And he was living with his dad at the time. Andrew, by this point, was early 20s, maybe even mid-20s. Can't remember. So he must have been mid-20s. So he came to live with me, and for the next few years, I kind of dedicated my time to helping him to be able to live independently, which has paid off because last year he graduated with a first from John Moores University in Liverpool, and top student award. So that paid off. So when Andrew left home to go to university, I was at a crossroads. I'd not been working for a while properly. I'd been messing about. I'd been a radio DJ. I had my own health program up in Derbyshire, and I used to have guests coming in the studio each week. So I was kind of playing around whilst being there supporting Andrew. There's some comments this morning on social media about on LinkedIn. I saw a very upsetting post about somebody's son who had completed suicide. So I trained last year as a mental health first aider because I didn't see the signs with my son of depression and so on.
Right.
But I would go home sometimes not knowing if I would be finding a situation like that. I'd often find the house smashed up and all sorts of horrible things might have happened in the home. So I'd had a turbulent few years, shall we say, with no support, accused of indulging Andrew in behaviour. We would go shopping. Part of the I will get to the Portugal thing in a minute, but just to give some backdrop as to when I got the invitation, I was quite quite relieved really. So we would go shopping at night, and he would dress up as a banana, and he still likes dressing up now. He'd have fancy dress outfits because he wanted to go out there to socialise with people, to make people laugh, but didn't know how to. So he'd dress up in a banana suit. So we might be seeing going around Tesco's at Chilwell at 3 o'clock at night or morning with him in a banana suit. But that's part of the weird.
Well, some people might be thinking to themselves, banana. Yes, I have seen that guy. Nottingham back in. Yes, it was him.
It could well be. Yeah,
banana guy. Yeah, right.
So anyway, Andrew went off, and then the friend who I'd known for over 20 years, by this stage was living in Portugal, and she said, "Why don't you come out and help me with some projects? I want to build this community, grow hydroponically, teach people how to do that, do training for the young people, blah, blah, blah." And I thought about it a few times. I came over for a recce, went back, no, it's not for me. I was frightened of snakes at the time, and I'd heard about all these snakes in Portugal. And then anyway, I got over that. They're just big worms, so that's fine. I had a friend who's a therapist, and she had a conversation with me about something else, and then ended up dealing with the worm thing. So eventually I came over in March 2020. I came over with my car with a couple of friends who were supposedly helping me with the driving and keeping me awake with jokes on the journey.
Yes.
And this lady kept saying, "Where are you? Where are you?" She knew that the lockdown was coming. I didn't know, but I
Oh,
had
okay.
already upset people in my local community, mouthing off about what's this going on? It's all nonsense, etc. And it's a scam, and something's not right here. And I smell a rat, and the emperor's got no clothes, and I was giving it all of that. Anyway, I came down on the Thursday evening after midnight. We arrived, came across the border at Castro Marim, and from Spain, and then at early o'clock Saturday morning, the border shut. So I
Wow.
was the right side. My friends were going back on the Sunday, and we got one of the last flights out from Faru. So that was a bit hairy scary for
I
them.
bet. March 2020 we're talking about, aren't we? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when I came over, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. I love it here, absolutely
Yeah.
love it, love it, love it. And health-wise, it's made a huge difference to me because I have a twisted and curved spine and a bit of spina bifida at the bottom of
Yeah.
my spine. And when I was in the UK, I was seeing a chiropractor every month, sometimes twice a month. And I used to live between North Wiltshire and South Nottingham, and I had two different chiropractors depending where I was staying at the time. And it was really expensive. Over here, I've seen a chiropractor once, and that was because I had a car shunt, and that was just a maintenance checkup thing. So the
Amazing.
lifestyle, the weather makes a huge difference health-wise. Highly recommend it.
Absolutely. So it's right for you, isn't it? It's the right sort of setting, context, environment for your particular temperament, it would seem.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
you an ideal backdrop then for this wonderful offer of yours in help. I mean, so how do you work? You have clients, people come and consult with you. Is that how it works, or they come and work?
I don't see anybody in person. I'm too busy at the cafes with the red wine and the abatonado and
Fair
the
enough. Yes, yes.
water. I have three drinks: a batonado, which is black coffee,
Yeah,
red wine, and water. No, I don't see people in person. Usually, I see them online like this. Thank you for helping me get my camera sorted. Um,
my pleasure.
and it's all done remotely. So working with business people, I don't do an awful lot with individuals now because I got a go-to reputation for the lady who turned people around with cancer. Well, as I say, I've manifested that I have people that want to stay well rather than people that are ill now.
Yes, yeah,
And
yeah,
because I've lost so many people who found me when it's too little, too late, but I've
yeah,
been able to help them keep going, and some of them I've helped turn around, and they're still here now, and
yeah.
some I've been able to give extra life to, etc. But that's not a nice, comfortable world to be in because
No, of
you're
course not.
going to funerals, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I do work now with lawyers and accountants because that's a chunk that I've missed out. But I ended up, I've been chief executive with several law firms, and I run a big consulting division for EY with over 200 staff. So I know how lawyers and accountants work. I know how they think. I know the differences between all the different types of professional services mindsets. So by working with leaders in those industry sectors, I can then affect more people and help them to keep themselves and their teams well. And I've started making an impact in there, and I've got some clients who are now helping their employees and their employees' children to be well through accessing my services. So everybody can do what I do at home. That nobody needs to visit anywhere. So it's not like, traipsing to Harley Street or whatever, which I used to do in days gone by.
Wow. Okay. Well, the final question then, and coming up, we've got the Iberian FM phone in at 10, and I think we want to get you back for that. And we can take a few calls in the future, and it'll be like the old days, you being a DJ or phone-in host. And I want to call Seth. I'm going to call Seth live to see what happens when we get through and show you. I've got an unboxing video kind of thing of my new Revolut card, which is personalized with GMP. But before you go and we do that, Elaine, I've been interested and involved in some way with this, complementary, alternative, ancient health approach, you might say, as well. It looks like it's new age, but some of it's as old as the hills, isn't it? Are you finding, you're working with some top executives by the sound of it who are open. How are you finding attitudes towards what you do, and how has the last 3 years affected that?
I am amazed at how closed people are to what's been going on. I cannot believe that the intelligent people are walking around still thinking that it's okay to wear nappies on their face or queue up to and stick their arm out. I just cannot believe it. But that said, and it's caused problems in my own family as well. It's just unbelievable. That said, I've got through all the anger stuff. I've got through I'm still in disbelief, but I'm now at a point where I'm kind of sending love out, because I just feel sorry for these people, that they don't know that they're doing themselves harm.
Right.
So it's very, I don't have these open conversations with business people until I'm on safe ground. But unfortunately, because of all the bureaucracy, the compliance, etc., and bearing in mind lawyers and accountants are highly compliant industry sectors, and they do what they're told, they follow the rules.
Yes.
So it's a rare find for me to come across an accountant or a lawyer who is open-minded enough to actually then use the system that I've created.
That's fascinating, because that's not a criticism, is it? That's an observation, isn't it?
It's observation, it's fact.
Yes.
So I've learned. So again, it's all part of my personal development. I've had to learn how to kind of manage myself, and I know I'm too much. I know my personality style is too much. It's too much for my family. Part of my family don't talk to me. They think I'm too radical, and they've openly said that. But I am who I am. I'm passionate about helping people to keep well, to have an open mind, etc. And I do get myself in trouble sometimes because
I don't know how. Why would that be, Elaine? I can't believe that.
Hey ho, we're all different.
No, Pete makes a very good point here. I am so much healthier than Andrew Gilchrist. This is lads bantering about their health. I have 5 jabs and smoke like a chimney. And I think it's a great point Pete makes, because it's not about a comparison, is it? It's about doing what's right for you as an individual, according to your individual analysis, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing that I've learned over the years, because imposing my thoughts and beliefs and attitudes is no good for other people unless they're of a similar mindset. So I've learned an awful lot about controlling myself, as much as helping other people.
Yeah, it's amazing. And people have got to do, I mean, if we believe in health freedom and sovereignty, people have got to do what they want to do, haven't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I now have a view that, I'm sorry, I feel, so Louisa just said they need sympathy, Elaine. They're victims of psychological warfare, and that's exactly right. And that's how I see things now. But it's taken me a long time to come to that conclusion and understanding it's not their fault. So that's how I can, kind of send love and support to these people. It isn't their fault. Their fault. They are victims. Having said that,
we all are, though. To be fair, we all are, aren't we? I mean, the whole sort of Western civilization thing is a matter of psychological warfare. It's not just the last 3 years, is it? We've been, it's centuries old, isn't it? And you've got to figure out for yourself what part you're playing in that and what you're subject to. So what a fantastic conversation we are having this morning. Thank you. I hope you will come back and we'll see you on a more regular basis as well. Question from the Global Nobles: what you do, is it insured or insurable? What's the liability indemnity with what you're doing?
I think the Global Nobles person is probably asking, can they claim on health insurance for my service? The answer is no.
Okay.
I have insurance, PI, whatever cover.
Yes.
But which again, that's another con, really. Don't get me started on that one. But no,
I won't. Another time.
Yeah, no. The laboratories are all verified and whatnot, but and my system is everything's verified, but it's not accepted because it's too off the wall.
It's a bit radical, isn't it? It's a bit radical. So it would be part of taking full responsibility for your health, I suppose.
I'm paying for it.
I'm paying for it. Okay. All right. And that's how to get in touch with Elaine. Been great talking to you. I do hope you will come back. Elaine at discplus.health. Mrs. Emma's just delivered me something looking very suspicious here. This will have all sorts. She'll have snuck kefir into this, I suspect. That could have one of your wheatgrass shots in it, couldn't it? And
Certainly, absolutely, yes.
Yep, that could work, couldn't it? You people can come and see you. Are there still spaces left then for next Tuesday?
There are, yes, yeah, next Tuesday at Figs on the Funch, and get in touch with Graham and Cheryl. And
Cheryl,
and we've got a camera crew coming as well, so it's going to be quite an exciting day. We've got Dr. Britt flying in from the UK. We've got me there. We've got Cheryl and Graham. We've got Lara, who's an amazing reflexologist, masseur.
Sounds fantastic.
And we've got camera crew. We've got vegan lunch, and we've got a lovely walk as well.
Vegan lunch. I'm surprised nobody picked up on that. That's for some people. That's a contradiction in terms. A lovely vegan lunch. Are you a convert or are you a paleo?
Certainly not.
What's your view on that?
I'm an anything-arian.
An opportunist. Yeah. Okay. Me too. Yeah. Okay. So an opportunitarian.
I eat healthy. Yeah.
Eat what you're given and be grateful for it. That's a gratitudinarian. That's quite a good health approach, isn't it? Elaine, it's been so great catching up with you. Will you come back and we can chat
yes.
time? Superb. All right. Massive round of applause for you. And have a super time next Tuesday. Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
There she goes. Amazing. I mean, you might want to pick up some of those ideas on that we've been talking about on the Iberian FM phone in, and we'll gird our loins for that at 10 a.m. this morning. We might want to pick up on the euthanasia thing as well. That does rather devalue and undermine the power of that conversation, calling it the euthanasia thing. But I think you know what I'm referring to. Portugal moving towards the decriminalisation of basically. I have to get. I need Elaine here with her understanding of the law, but it's not being referred to as a legalization. It's being referred to as a decriminalization. The president's not happy about it. The Pope's not happy about it, for what it's worth. And but it looks like the majority in the Portuguese Parliament will bring about legislation to allow people that. End of life termination. That would be one way of putting it, wouldn't it? Death with dignity, as James is calling it. Thank you very much. You could hear me struggling there, James. And yes, see you for the Wellness Day on Tuesday at Figs on the Funch. And I'll put that one more time into the chat as well. Graham, Cheryl, good morning to you. Come and speak to us again soon. The Good Morning Portugal show is all about loving life in Portugal. Anyone who loves life in Portugal is welcome here on the Good Morning Portugal show as a guest, as a viewer, as a listener to the podcast. So there you go, Figs on the Phone show. It was great to talk to Cheryl previously. And I think, Graham, are you the chef there possibly? I can't remember, but it's a really lovely atmosphere and a beautiful place to stay. Fiona's here. I missed a chunk of this morning's interview. I think I'm going to have to rewatch Elaine's part. Sounds like my kind of human. Yeah, you won't regret that. It will be time well spent, Fiona. Right, a couple of things to do now. I've got my phone ready. And I was doing this for somebody yesterday who asked me to phone Seth. Shall we see what happens? Now, what will happen here, if you've got this on your phone, those light blue colors there are links. And when you press on them, you end up going through to a different number. So they've hyperlinked it to, I think, what is an 808 number. Yes, those go through to 808 numbers. Did anyone see 808 State as their first gig? Anyway, that's an unnecessary distraction right now. So the important thing to do here is to use the hyperlinks. Not that that's going to get you through to Seth, according to the person I was speaking to. But we could actually manually dial those numbers and see what happens. So I'm testing it now. Does it go to engaged? Will I actually get through? Which will be embarrassing if I do, because then I can face the criticism of wasting Seth's time while other people are trying to reunify their families and talk to Seth. But I will not keep them because I have no official business with Seth. I'm just testing this for the good of our community here. So you should be able to hear this when I put the fader up. When we call the first of these numbers, what happens when we call Seth on 217 115 000? Let's find out now. Right, are you hearing this? Oh, we're getting engaged. So we are connecting and we're getting engaged. That's an improvement on yesterday. The Portuguese phone system doesn't seem to go to nothing as it was yesterday. It's going through to engaged today. So that's hopeful. On the phone line on 217-115-000. And that mobile number then, 965-903-700. Let's try that one as well. See if that's working today. Let's have a listen. Nothing. Oh, that's the number I was more familiar with yesterday. That so 965-903-700 not working. Let's try that one more time. Okay, connecting a caller. And that's just not making a connection. So it looks like that mobile number is not the ideal number to be calling Seth on. The first one, I got an engaged tone, 217-115-000. Trying that for a friend. I hope that helps. And I don't know if that establishes whether it's your... See, this is the problem people find themselves in. They don't know if it's their phone not working or Seth not working. Might it be a limitation with their own SIM card or the deal they've got here in Portugal with their phone or using a phone from another country? But I've done as best as I can do there. Those are the numbers at imigrante.sef.pt. For you there. Okay, let's do this exciting thing now. If you're a regular and seasoned viewer, Gumper of the Good Morning Portugal show, you'll have seen my up and down relationship with Revolut. I recommend, for the big amounts, I recommend Spartan FX if you want to actually have a friendly or a human relationship with somebody who can help you convert and transfer currency. Spartan FX are fantastic. For the Spartan FX don't have a debit card in the way that some currency exchanges do. So it might be that you want the convenience of a card like a Revolut card or a Wise card. I have both. I'm a Wise guy and a Revolut guy. Revolut, however, I was first registered with Revolut in the United Kingdom, and they wouldn't allow me to transfer my account to Portugal. I could still use it, but there were features on it that I wanted to use, like creating sub-accounts for my kids. And I went through the most hideous Revoluts, basically. And that was my final message to Revolut was, look, are you called Revolut because of all these circles you're making me go round in for the last few months? That did the trick, I think, that little bit of a sarky reaction and comment. And now I am proud to reveal to you that I have a Portuguese account for my Revolut. They are, I don't know, they're not headquartered in Portugal, but they've got a very big centre in Matosinhos up there near Porto, because I met somebody who worked there, amazing fella actually, in their marketing team, but I think they've got a big team up there in the north of Portugal. So here I am, opening live on air my Revolut card, and it comes in this. Look at this. It comes in a lovely little fold-out piece of origami. Get my hand over the microphone there so you can see this. And it folds out in this beautiful way. I do now have a new Revolut card that's good to go here in Portugal. And look what I was able to do on this said card, everybody. I've got my very own GMP Revolut card. How about that? A GMP Visa card comes in this lovely fold-out thing, which I'll dazzle and amaze the kids with. Isn't that fantastic? It's like one of those things you made at school, isn't it? Looks like it could take off if you flap it hard enough, so to speak. There it is. There's my GMP Revolut card. If you want one of these. Hey, I should have been a bit more ahead of the game here. What I'll do is I will put a link to Revolut. It will be one of our nice little affiliated income and referral streams here on the Good Morning Portugal. Many a mickle makes a muckle. So I will put a Revolut link for you if you want to get your own Revolut card. Some amazing features on it, like the sub-accounts for kids. So you can create a sort of a pocket money account, and the kids can have their own cards. So my kids have got their own cards coming, and they can customize their own cards too. My kids don't want GMP because that's embarrassing on their cards. They've just done their own designs on a bright yellow card, is what the kids have. So I wonder if I can give you a Revolut link now. I'm going to log in. I'm not going to do it publicly. I'll share the screen on this. We're going to go to the Iberian FM phone in just a moment. Yes, it is me. Oh, I think I can log in here. Oh, yes, it's just asking me for a few things. I'm not going to say them out loud, but I'm going through Revolut security now, so you can see how good it is. Okay. Oh, just digits allowed. Okay, so I'm putting my postcode in. to verify it's me. Let me see. Let me see if that works. Am I through to the next level? Incorrect passcode. Okay. Oh, passcode, not postcode. What was I thinking? Okay, let me see if that takes me through now. Yes, I think I'm in here. I'm going in, everybody. Confirm. Look at this. This is great security with Revolut. Confirm with the app, which I'll do now. In case you're worried about the security levels on Revolut, they look like they're going pretty well here, don't they? Asking me to double check via the app. It is app-based banking. So I'm able to authorize there. I've got 2 minutes to do so. And my request is approved. So I'm through to the Revolut homepage, and I'm going to give you a Revolut link so you can get a card of your own should you wish to do so. How cool is that? You can manage your money on your app, on your phone, and you can... Actually, I don't think I can give you a referral link. I will put it, I think... the hub. Maybe the hub will help. Carl, you could have been a little bit better prepared with this, quite frankly. One more click. No, okay, I can't do it. I'll make sure you've got a link tomorrow, or I'll put that on the website. Let's see what the last few comments are saying. Do you prefer Wise? Do you prefer Revolut? Let's find out. Carl, does your Revolut account have a Portuguese IBAN number or a Lithuanian one? Let me just check for you now. The giveaway, of course, will be that it has PT at the beginning of it, right? Andrew, let me just see. I'm going to my card. You can have a disposable virtual card working online, and you can also have a physical card, which I just showed you, because I think Andy's had some trouble here with the whether it's Portuguese or Lithuanian. Would that be correct, Andrew? Where on earth do I find the details of the again, I could have been better prepared with this. In the complexity and the moment, the pressure, I'm not able to find. Oh, here we go. Details. Here we go. Details. I'm through. I am through into my European. It is Lithuanian. It is Lithuanian, not Portuguese. What difference does that make? Does it start with an LT or a PT? It starts with an LT. Is that going to cause me problems? We've got instant consumer feedback about Revolut here. Let us know, please, if you will. Lovely chat on the show this morning with Elaine there. Morning, Carl. Yes, we would love to chat with you again. So let's make sure that happens. And yes, Graham is the chef at Figs on the Funch over there. When I called Seth, they answered quickly and really helpful. I must have been lucky. Yes, you are, Louise. 808, says Sarah, is the area code for Hawaii. Seth is out. Is that why it's taking so long? Because they're all drinking. They're all garlanded over there in Hawaii, drinking cocktails on the beach. That's why no one answers. Quite lucky, says Antonio to you, Louise, from what I've heard. Yeah, absolutely. I heard and or saw recently, and apologies for not remembering where, the temporary residency can be renewed online. That's what they want to do. On the Hello America, This is Portugal show last night, I read a few Seth articles out from Portugal resident, and they are trying, very trying, you might say, to improve the service. And of course, they will handle so many more inquiries and processes if they do them online. So they are trying to shift to that. Thank you, James, for that. Deagle, do many shops, restaurants use Revolut cards? Absolutely. If you look closely, you will see on there it's a Visa card. Okay, I think it used to be a MasterCard before, but it's now a Visa card. So yes, no problem at all. And you can use the cash machines. Don't use the blue and yellow ones. Use the multi-banco, and you will be able to check your balance and withdraw cash and move currency around inside the app. You can have accounts of various kinds, including crypto, and you can buy stocks and shares and all that sort of stuff as well. 808 is a stupid Portuguese code, says Antonio. It means you just pay a local call, but as most people already have flat phone plans, don't pay for calls or cell phones and landlines, starting with 2 or 3. It makes us pay for a call unnecessarily. By Randy, I have answered that question. Yes, on your online statement, top right, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Your money only covered up to 22,000 euros from Lithuania. I think I should be okay in that case. Well, I just looked. I think I've got 13 euros in there at the moment until I start using it in earnest. Hope Ernest doesn't mind. Wise is convenient and easy to use. Yeah, got one of those as well. Got their bright green card. I think it's good to have backup when you're traveling. So I wouldn't have a problem with having both the Wise and Revolut. I love Revolut, but good to know. So yes, we are fellow Revolut users, and our accounts are not Portuguese but Lithuanian with our IBAN codes there. Let's go to that Iberian FM phone in. If you want to talk more about this, you can over there on that, and I'll make sure our community gets Revolut and Wise links, if not later today, then on tomorrow's show. And it'll be lovely if we get loads of people using Revolut cards. That's a nice little extra referral income and income stream for the Good Morning Portugal endeavor, made possible by sponsors, by associates, by affiliates, and of course members. If you sign up as a member at gmpvip.com in our private community, you can do so for €9 rather than the €19, which is what it's going to go up to. Let's hit that button for a bit of Iberian FM phone in, shall we? Oh, should we do this first? The Iberian FM phone. Look at that costume change, kinda. If you want to talk more about bands that you saw as a teenager, love that. That was fantastic. People in our community who've seen the Rolling Stones and the Beatles live, folks. Kids, listen to that. You're never going to see anything like that again, I don't suppose. 913-590-303. You might want to pick up where we left off yesterday, talking about the new euthanasia legislation here in Portugal. I think I'll open up the front pages of the English-speaking Portuguese news sources, and we'll see what's going on there. We'll see what's going on over there on the English-speaking news sources, and we'll also keep an eye on your comments. You can, of course, if you prefer not to call in and talk to me, you can send a message on WhatsApp. I'll just record it into your WhatsApp and then send it to 913-590-303. Thank you for all the photos that came in this morning that I didn't get a chance to get to. I will pick them up tomorrow morning, so tune in again tomorrow. Let's take a look then and see what's new at the Portugal resident, shall we? And the front page is leading with this morning, President Marcelo, hopeful banks' eyes open to the mortgage problem. I think I want to take a look at that. I'm also going to open up the Portugal News, who are leading with Coldplay concerts begin. That will be a memory for, and that's where we began this morning, wasn't it? It's Astrid's teenage daughter will be seeing Coldplay play today, and that will be hardwired into her teenage memories. What a fantastic thing that is. It's their Music of the Spheres tour, and they're kicking off in with 4 concerts in Coimbra, I believe. I wonder where they're going to be. Are they going to be in the football stadium in Coimbra? Which big venue is used in Coimbra? Urgent need to fight LGBTQIA plus discrimination. We should have a quick look at that as well this morning, I think. So I think we've got a couple of stories, and the president does pass. Okay, 3 hours ago. Let's just conclude then and see if there's anything you want to say on the euthanasia law here in Portugal. Just going back to Revolut quickly before we do that. Lithuania prefix, the LT, means you must declare it as a foreign account when you file your IRS. Wouldn't have to if it was Portugal. Thank you, Andy, for that. Carl, when is Costa going to be forced by the president to call a general election? Don't know, but it could happen, couldn't it? Chaos and turmoil politically here in Portugal at the moment. They've got a lot on their plate that they're dealing with. Many plates are spinning. A lot of that poster politics stuff is going on. Let's see certainly what the president is saying. Somewhat crestfallen, I think, along with the Pope, about the new euthanasia legislation. So he has conceded, acceded, is that the right word, when it comes to the euthanasia law. Let me bring that onto the screen so that you can see it for yourself now. They have various pictures, don't they, of the president in various states of emotional response to things. I wonder which picture they're using today. Yes, the concerned face picture of the president, and he has passed the euthanasia law here. Yes, a grave and earnest face library picture. The president of the republic has promulgated the decree. Now, why are they using this language? promulgated the decree. What's that about? It decriminalizes medically assisted death as required by the Constitution. So interesting choice of words. What we are talking about here is medically assisted death. Presumably, if a doctor had done that for you before this legislation, they would have been a criminal. It has now been decriminalized. So it's not as like the medically assisted death has been legalized, it's been decriminalized, is the nuance here. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa announced the decision with a short note published on the official website of the Presidency of the Republic. It sounds like he tweeted it almost. The Assembly of the Republic confirmed on the 12th of May by an absolute majority of the deputies in office the new version of the diploma on medically assisted death, for which reason the President of the Republic promulgated decree number 43/XV of the Assembly of the Republic, as required under Article 136, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution of the Portuguese Republic, reads the note. The decree, which the head of state had vetoed on April the 29th, was confirmed on Friday and went to the Belém Palace on the same day for promulgation. Promulgation. It's a good word, but I'm always a little bit, I'm interested to know why obscure, esoteric words are being used in these contexts, rather than just say passed or promoted or allowed. Promulgation is the word we're using here. It had 129 votes in favour from the majority of PS deputies and from the Liberal Initiative and Left Bloc benches, and from the Single Pan and Livre deputies, 81 votes against from the majority of PSD deputies. It sounds to me like they're using this as a political football. We've got a call coming in. I've got a call from London. I'm not sure if this is a call into the show, so I'm not going to take it. Can you indicate to me that you're calling on show business, as it were, rather than personal business? I'll come back to that after the show. The decree, which the head of state had vetoed on April 29th, then promulgated. It had 129 votes. And against were Shager and the PCP benches, and there was a Social Democratic deputy who abstained. And when it's like that, it looks party political, doesn't it, than a matter of individual conscience. Then surely these politicians aren't using this as a political football, are they? This grave and serious issue. Article 136, number 2 of the Constitution imposes that after the veto of a decree, if the Assembly of the Republic confirms the vote by an absolute majority of the deputies in office, the President of the Republic must promulgate the diploma within 8 days of receipt. I think you get the idea. In this decree, which amends the penal code, yikes, who doesn't like a penal code first thing in the morning? And thank you for the coffee. A non-punishable medically assisted death is considered to be that which occurs by decision of the person of age whose will is current and reiterated, serious, free, and enlightened in a situation of suffering of great intensity with definitive injury or extreme severity or serious or incurable disease when practiced or helped by health professionals. That's the important wording, isn't it? Let me read that again. So it amends the penal code. A non-punishable medically assisted death is considered to be that which occurs by decision of the person of age, so that they have to have reached the age of consent, presumably 18 here, whose will is current and reiterated, serious, free, and enlightened in a situation of suffering of great intensity with definitive injury of extreme severity or serious and incurable disease when practiced or helped by the health professionals there. The last article stipulates that this law enters into force 30 days after the publication of the respective regulation, which is up to the government to approve. So it's going to be a while. And as Deagle was alluding to, they have a lot of other things on their plate at the moment. So this might be even more political game playing, knowing that it will be kicked into the long grass for those politicians who are serious about this issue. Last para then, on April the 19th, before the fourth decree, the President of the Republic vetoed it, but dismissed doubts of constitutionality, pointing out only a problem of precision in 2 specific points, and commented on an eventual confirmation saying, there is no drama with this. So a little statesmanlike, I think, there, and going with the Constitution rather than his own personal views on that, which is actually gone against. Okay, Antonio, responding to you, Deagle. We'll come back to the Portugal news and the Portugal resident. Probably only when PSD is strong enough to rule alone is when a general election may be called. Thank you for that insight, Antonio. And promulgation, the act of officially or publicly announcing a new law or system. The promulgation of a new constitution. I understand what the word means, but why are they using it rather than just using something simpler? This is something that reminds me of the conversation we're having with Elaine. Accountants, lawyers, other professionals, they need their esoteric language, don't they, to somehow justify their behavior, maybe. Carl, or keep us plebs and muggles out of their world. Carl, promulgation means it's published in the Diario de Repubblica and is then enforced as law, technicalities, law language. Yeah, thank you for that. And when meanings, this is what I'm getting at, I think. Squire of the Shires is here, good morning. I think you like a bit of Iberian FM phone-in, right, Squire of the Shires? When meanings of words are deviously twisted, we are unsettled and vulnerable, a psychological experience of cognitive dissonance. Yes! That's what I'm talking about. We didn't do the dad jokes, did we, with Elaine? We got carried away talking about other things. All right, let's have a quick look at LGBTQI+. I think I've got all the letters in there. And the other article, which was the president, let's stay with the president and him signaling to the banks that they're going to do something to help people. How hopeful are you about that? For example, that a signaling, a moral signaling, you might say, from the president might be enough to get banks to to change their behavior. I somehow think not, but let's give it the doubt and go and have a look and see what is being said over here on the Portugal Resident front page and front story. President Marcelo hopeful banks eyes open to mortgage problem. This is Natasha Don reporting yesterday. Thank you, Natasha. Speaks as top 5 banks register over 900 million euros in first quarter profits. Well, thank heavens they're doing okay in these difficult times for humanity. The banks are registering over 900 million in first quarter profits. So you'd think, wouldn't you? They're feeling good. They're celebrating with champagne, possibly doing well in challenging times for a lot of other human beings who are going to food banks. Some of the best educated people in Portugal are resorting to food banks. Let's see how they are responding in this situation, or are likely to. Portugal's President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa has said today that he hopes the country's banks are awake to the problem of mortgages. That's a quote, awake to the problem, and that the Bank of Portugal is also considering this matter for the government to act on a smaller scale. The president's concerns come as the country's 5 leading banks have registered hefty first quarter profits, combining to reach over not just 900 million, but 919 million. 19 million is a significant amount of money, Natasha Don, or inflated by the time we got to that paragraph. Speaking to journalists with this clearly in mind, he said he welcomed the words of BCP Chief Executive Miguel Maia, BCP declaring a 90% increase in profits. What? In comparison to the same period last year, who has called for a reflection on the terms, rates and installments of housing loans. I considered it to be a good sign because that is the problem. That and inflation, which can either hinder or delay the arrival of those very good macro numbers to the pockets of the Portuguese, said Marcelo. Standing up for the people and seeing if he can put a bit of pressure, virtue signal a bit possibly to the banks to see if they will adjust people's mortgages. Quizzed over whether he believes the government should adopt more measures to help people with vastly increased mortgages, the president said, I think this firsthand is dependent on the decision of the banks and the monitoring by the Bank of Portugal. According to Marcelo, it is clear that government subsidies have helped a limited number of cases, but there are 1.1 million loans. So 1 in 10 Portuguese people has a loan, which means multiplied by the number of people in the household, some 3 million people. It affects the lives of 3 million people. So I would say that I'm hopeful that the banking sector is awake to the problem. It doesn't sound incredibly powerful, does it? And the Bank of Portugal too. And that the measures the government is taking in terms of the budget will also contribute. But on a smaller scale, it's smaller for those who are really in need. It doesn't reach all those who have home loans, he added, stressing that the increase in interest payable on housing loans is still a problem with no clear way out, while banks are paying those who save them with very little. 'Twas ever thus. Faced with today's announcement over profits, Marcelo said more than once how cheered he was by the words of Miguel Maia, who recognises the president has a genuine concern for the Portuguese and pledged to see if there's anything more the BCP can do to help its customers. I wonder, should one be cynical here? BCP, call a meeting. Should we help people with mortgages? Let's have a think about that. It will hurt our profits probably if we do. So no, let's just send a press release out that signals back to the president that we've thought about it. And as much as we'd like to do something We can't really at the moment. And actually, we've got to wait to see what the Bank of Portugal does. I've never been a landlord, nor do I intend to be until the end of my life. But I respect that the overwhelming majority of Portuguese want to be landlords because it is what they have left as insurance for the future. It is one of the important insurances they want to leave for the future of their families, interestingly. This is what Marcelo was saying as a militant tenant. He said, referring to the recent news that the government's housing plans have seen a number of landlords sell up rather than face the prospect of state interference. Trouble at mill, all sorts going on. Could prompt a general election. And thank you for your insight on this, Antonio F., and for that question, Deagle. Remember Bojo, his proroguing of Parliament. Is that a device that can be used here as well, Lord Gilchrist? Oh, I see. This is the use of esoteric words to do something and confuse people whilst doing it. Yeah, a discontinuous session of Parliament or Legislative Assembly without dissolving it. Yes, devil is in that detail right there. I mean, he is a devilish... He's not a detail guy, but certainly there's a bit of devilishness going on in that kind of detail of proroguing. He put the rogue in prorogue, did he not? Okay, so then finally, let us return, and your comments most welcome, and do call in on 913-590-303 or send a message to that number. Let's see what's being said about this other article that piqued my interest, which was urgent need to fight discrimination for the LGBTQIA plus community. And let's take a look at this now. Let me bring it onto the screen for you so that you can comment as well, should you wish to. Urgent need to fight discrimination. Yes. And it goes back to what Elaine was saying, wasn't it? On a personal level, I think we can check, can't we, where we have our prejudices and our pre-programmed thoughts and thoughts which might not be our own, and attempt to connect heart to heart with people, regardless of the pigeonholes that we might put them in. I see what's going on here. Certainly, we can celebrate an end to discrimination and prejudice and things that get in the way of true human love and contact. The President of the Republic today marks International Day, the International Day to fight homophobia, transphobia, and biphobia, with a message in which he considered it urgent to support political efforts to combat discrimination against LGBTQIA plus people. So I didn't realize that, but today is the International Day to fight homophobia, transphobia, and biphobia, with a message. The message from the president was published today on the official website. He's been busy on the official website of the Presidency of the Republic on the internet. Although we have been witnessing signs of progress all over the world, discrimination and exclusion due to sexual orientation and gender identity persist and are the cause of suffering for many and many among us. For the President of the Republic, if discrimination persists, whether in privacy, including within the family, whether in the public space, at school, in health, at work, it is urgent to develop and support political efforts to combat discrimination against LGBTQIA+, and that we don't forget the way we treat those around us, he adds. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, who a year ago also marked the International Day to combat homophobia, transphobia, and biphobia, takes advantage of this date to argue that it is necessary to build a country where there is no place for any form of discrimination. Millions of people live in countries where homosexuality is illegal, he says. The head of state expresses the wish that this day gives expression to the hope for a more inclusive, more open country without hatred and without violence. And I hope we are a prototype in some way for the inclusion, acceptance, and not giving a crap so much about people's personal choices in their lives. You know, let us all get on with our lives as we wish to, as long as we're not hurting anybody else. A little Gumper prototype here that we might offer up in support of the president's conversation today. And we see Lord Gilchrist proudly waving his rainbow flag there. I can't call in, he says. Way too much construction noise outside as they are relaying the calçadas and curbstones. Okay. A lot of cobblers outside your window then, as usual. If governments wanted to help the people, they would stop central banks from printing any more money and get them to raise their capital reserve, which is at the moment zero. Wrong on all levels. What's that? I'm not sure what we're talking about there. Squire of the Shires. Okay, I think we'll leave it there today. We'll do more Iberian FM phone in tomorrow. You have the chance to get things off your chest, to tell us about what's grinding your gears, all with the aim not of bringing more frustration and anger into the world, but to be free of it. Let's not deny that we might have things that trigger us. And let's not be choking down those emotions or pretending. As Elaine said, if we have these emotional residues in us, they can be quite toxic and harmful, not unlike the anaerobic lactic acids that can form inside the body. So let's be free of that stuff, those residues, those unhelpful and toxic residues that live within us, and maybe sharing them in an open-minded, open-hearted environment is the way to get rid of them and to be free and live in a world without our own prejudices or to be the subject of other people's, so that we could coexist in harmony. The prototype for a free humanity here. It starts. It begins with us. It begins with you on the Iberian FM phone-in every weekday on 913-590-303. I'm getting some applause and some peace and love from the Squire of the Shires this morning. We'll keep going with this, and we'll see what happens as we reach out from Portugal into the Iberian Peninsula, across Europe, and the whole world. It's going to be a great day, isn't it, when we get calls from all over the world, people staying up late at night or getting up early in the morning and wanting to contribute in some way. Lord Gilchrist is spring cleaning his orifice, rearranging the equipment, and finally organising the Man Cave HQ. That sounds serious. What's that going to involve, I wonder? So in the spirit of the Man Cave, let me share those. Actually, we had a visual one first, didn't we? Let me share the visual with you first. And thank you very much, James, for this. If I could choose to have one superpower, it would be invisibility, says the captain. I just want to make myself clear. Look at the smile on his face there. Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, James, for that. And the dad jokes to conclude this morning as we send you off with a nice little comedic palate cleanser. I find Springs hilarious, but then again, I've got a twisted sense of humor. Please don't ride with me, he continues, if you're going to grab the dash and scream every time we run off the road. It makes me nervous. We all know someone who drives like that, don't we? And spiders are the only web designers who get happy when they find a bug. Oh, back to nature. We started with squirrels who like nuts, just like you, and spiders who like a bug, unlike human web designers. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. You've been awfully, awfully good. Well done. Bye for now. Ciao for now. Have a great day. Oh, and I'll have the Revolut referral and Wise referral links for you tomorrow. I'm sorry I wasn't better prepared today. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now.